So now we continue, and now we're gonna work on this. So when you click right here, you open this nice menu. Okay, it has the same input that you can write everything right here. Also the emoji picker. Also you have this button, which is this slide. When you click on it, you get to choose pictures from your PC, and also the slide right here. Okay, and you can close it now. Okay, so the main thing you gotta understand that this is something, and this is a different thing. Okay, so this one is different than the other one. Okay, so we're gonna create a new text area, we're gonna create a new emoji. The only thing they're gonna share is that the text. Okay, so for the text that you create right here is the same text that we have in the index in this state. Okay, and it's the same one right here. Okay, that's why it doesn't change when you close it. Okay, so that's the thing that you're gonna understand. Okay, so let's go back right here. Let me create a new component. Let's call it image preview. Okay, .js, and then RFC, and you have the components right here. Let me go to the index, close this, and now let's add it here. Okay, so as you see right here, this is shown when the show preview is false. So when it's not false, when it's true, so let me go right here. So when this is when it's false, but when it's true, we simply right here can go and show the image preview elements. Okay, or component like this. Okay, so now it's not going to be shown because simply this is right here false. So let me make it true, and now it's going to show this. Okay, one thing also that I want to do is I want to take this component or this div right here and put it inside the emoji picker backgrounds. Okay, because we're gonna use this div. Okay, we need it, and also we need this in this image preview. We're gonna put them inside, and if we did, we're gonna have like a user right here, which is for the text, that it's gonna be usable in two different components, and that will create a problem because you have the same ref, but it's like initiated in different components. Okay, so it's not gonna track all of them. That's gonna create a problem. So we're gonna make sure that everything that we need is gonna be in one single component. That's why I want to take this from here and put it inside this. Okay, let me go right here and just simply add it here, and then we're just gonna add like a parent div that holds the single component simply like this, and the text ref right here is not gonna be from the props, but simply going to be from the actual ref that's going to be defined in the component itself. So right here we're going to define it. Okay, so now we have the text ref. The problem right here is going to be that we need to remove this and change it with the user, because we're going to need the user. Okay, like this, and get the user right here, because we are using it right here for the user. Okay, so now it's still the same thing. So now if we go back right here and change this to false, nothing is gonna change and everything's still working fine. Okay, so that's the first thing that we need to do. So now let's change the state to true so we can see what we're doing like this. Okay, now we're gonna go back to the image preview and we're gonna do some changes right here. So let me remove everything from here. Another class name, which is gonna be overflow a. Okay, that's the first thing. And second, right here we're gonna need the components, okay, which is the emoji picker background. So let's call it like this. So it's gonna be here, but there's gonna be few changes. Okay, we need to pass few things, so we're gonna get it first. Let me pass it. We've passed them right here, so they're gonna be the same things needed. So let me just get them there. Also get them in the props, so we're gonna pass them right here again. Okay, that's all what we're doing. We're getting them and then passing them. So the user and then set text. Okay, it's a game of getting a component and passing it. Okay, so as you see, now we have the new one. Okay, let me just see what's the problem right here. So the problem clearly right here, because we didn't pass it inside curly braces as props. Okay, so now that fixes it. Now I want to explain something before we continue. Okay, and this is very important. As you see right here, we use in the same component that when we use right here. Okay, that we use right here. Okay, which is the same one. So if we change this like to false, nothing's gonna change because it's the same one. Okay, but as you see right here, this is a bit different. Just focus on the part right here. Okay, the first thing we're gonna notice that this image right here is not showing right here. Okay, also this emoji picker, this text area right here that we have is in a different position and in different size than that we have right here. So how are we gonna do it knowing that we have one component? Okay, so simply we're gonna take that one component and then simply test. So we're gonna pass like an attribute right here. It's called like type 2, so we can understand that we are in the type 2 components. So we are in the type 2 components. So this is the components. We're gonna pass type 2 right here. We can open that, okay, if I can, and then get it from here from the props. Okay, not there. We're gonna get only type 2, and this type 2 is gonna be either true or false. So it's gonna be true when it's inside the image preview because we passed type 2. That means here is gonna be true. But right here, for example, in the index right here, we didn't pass it. That means in this component, that time when you're showing that element, which is gonna be when this is false, it's gonna be false also for this one. Okay. So this also just, you can just like use the show preview if you don't want to pass attributes right here. Okay. So now we understand which we are, components at. Okay. And we're just gonna simply change the size of the elements, so depending on that type 2. Like for example, just so you can understand, this image right here, which is this one, this only visible when we're not in the type 2. So that means when we are not type 2, that means now it's not gonna be visible. Okay, but if we want like and show this one, which is we didn't pass it, that means it's here is false. So we can just change this to false and show that it's gonna show. Okay, because it's false, but when it's true, it's not gonna be shown. That's why we did when it's not type 2. So this type thing that we're gonna change. So for example, let's start from the end right here. This one, we can go right here and have backticks, and this is gonna be true. But when we are in type 2, we're gonna also have, let me fix that, sorry. So when we are in type 2 also, we're gonna have another class name that's gonna be added to this one, okay, which is gonna be move left. For example, like this one right here. Let me take this class name for the speaker and also backticks. This is gonna be true, but for the RL move, this is gonna be depending on the type 2. When it's true, it's gonna be different. When it's false, it's gonna stay the same. Move picker 2. Also, this post emoji wrapper is only gonna be when we have like when we are not in the type 2. So that means when we're not in the type 2, then that div is gonna be applicable, else it's not gonna be. Okay, that's another thing. Like for post input, that's when we are like in let me just add backtick, because this is gonna be, and also we're gonna have another test. So when type 2 is true, we're gonna have another class name which is gonna be input 2. Okay, like the flick center right here is also like, this is only gonna be when we are not in the type 2. Okay, because in type 2 we don't have it. So this is only when we are not in type 2, then it's gonna be there. I know this is confusing, but if we went to the sides and start working on it, you're gonna see, like the difference. Okay, let's go back to the sides. So right here we're gonna start from overflow A, which is gonna be the maximum height, sorry, which is gonna be 500 pixels, because we want to have like a scroll, because when we have images and stuff, it's gonna take a bit longer when you have so many images, so we want to like scroll on it. Okay, that's why we're gonna add overflow right here, overflow Y, the y-axis. We're gonna show it, so it's gonna be auto, so we can just scroll on it. Okay, and then also we're gonna go to the input 2, which is this one, is gonna be now input 2. Okay, because type 2 is true, so it's gonna have input 2. So we simply can make the position relative, okay, and display block, and then we're gonna have the font size to be 15. And as you see, the changes has been shown right now. This only happens when we pass this type 2, because if we went back to false, not gonna be any changes. Okay, because this one is gonna show this one, and this one doesn't has the type 2. I try to explain things a lot and this might confuse you. Okay, so minimum height right here is going to be 15 pixels, and we're going to add important to it, so it's it does affect. Okay, and then we can go now another div which is going to be move left, and it's simply going to transform and then translate x minus 10 pixels. Okay, and then we can have also the move picker 2, okay, which is going to be right to be 1 rem and top to be 9.7 rem. Okay, and make the z index something, so we can see the elements itself. Okay, then as you see right here, nothing changes. So that's because if we go back right here and then open inspect element, because we want this element to be 2 in the same line, but if we want to right here and inspect, we're gonna find that that's not possible, because as you see right here, this is in a div and this is in another div. Okay, that means they are not inside the same div. So how are we gonna make that happen? So simply we can go back right here. Where is it? This one that's have them both. Okay, which is this div that we didn't made it anything. So let's change it to a div, as you see right here. And now we can add a class name to it. And the class name is going to simply attest when we are on type 2, that's only when we are on type 2. It's going to have a class name that's called images inputs, okay? And then simply go to here and then images input, and we're going to put them in the same line. And how to do that, that's the easiest way you can do it, just by display flex. So display flex, and then as you see, now they are in the same line. Okay, so that's very beautiful. We can go back right now and change to false and see if things are still all right, because you know this is like this complicated, the class name inside, so that could create problems. As you go back to the normal state, everything is all right, and this is absolutely beautiful and shows that we understand things and we did it the right way. So now let me make this true again. So that's all right. So let's continue and now test the emoji picker. So when we click on it, we got this problem, okay? And that's simply going to be fixable if you go to the style and remove the position relative from here, because, and this is fixed because we don't want it, because this is position absolute. We don't want it to be, you know, absolute to this div, but the div of parents of this, okay? So that's fixed. This is the problem, okay? So now as you see, we have everything that we wanted, and we can go back also and test the false right here and see if everything's still all right. Okay, and I think everything is still all right without any problem. Okay, so let's see what else we want.